Welcome to the Stack Supplement Podcast, the premier source for supplement news and reviews.
Finally, we are back with another episode of the Stack Supplement Podcast, and I must apologize for the past few weeks as due to the unfortunate and devastating COVID-19 pandemic that is going around the globe. We haven't been in a good situation to be able to set up and really record. In fact, we only found out that the Arnold was cancelled on the way to the Arnold. So it's been a tough last few weeks, but hopefully everyone was following the website as we just hammered down as much work as we could possibly do in terms of news, excitement, releases, and everything like that, and keeping everyone up to date with the supplement industry. So Stack3d was Stack.com was continued to keep everyone in the world up to date on everything that is happening in regards to supplements. And so again, apologize for the past few weeks, but we're just going to jump straight back into this episode with, I guess, just the highlights or the most exciting stories from the past week or 2 weeks. Make sure everyone is up to date. And surprisingly, despite the many lockdowns and plays and restrictions and everything that have been put in place around the globe, the supplement industry, I'm not going to lie, has not been, as quiet from our point of view in terms of exciting releases. We've still been jam-packed with work and news and been publishing stories left, right, and center. And I think it's just we've been pushing as hard as always to keep everyone updated. And so again, if you're following the site, you definitely would have not been short on excitement and entertainment in the supplement industry. As I said, we're going to jump straight back into things with this episode of our Stack podcast, which, as per usual, runs over some of the recent announcements and exciting news from the site. To start this episode off, we're actually going to share a story because we're recording this episode on Monday. We're going to share a story that posted today, so it wasn't from the past week or so, but and this is from G Fuel. Now, G Fuel is easily the gaming supplement leader, the leader of the gaming category by far. It is incredibly popular. They've always had just that one flagship product leading the way, which has spun into other kind of versions. You got now G Fuel Hydration and the G Fuel Energy Drink, which I would say is a must-try in terms of how different and unique it is if you're a fan of energy drinks. But news this week is, again, if you were following the site, you would have seen, I think it was a week or so ago, maybe even more, G Fuel teased that it was doing something in relation to the upcoming relaunch or remaster or remake of the video game Resident Evil 3, which is dropping on April 3rd, if I'm not mistaken, maybe even April. It's coming early April. All they said was that G Fuel teased it was doing something with that game, and today the company revealed exactly what that collaboration is. Now, initially we suspected, because we've seen G Fuel team up with games and companies before, we suspected it to be a special edition flavor of its flagship gaming product, the G Fuel, the original G Fuel powder. We suspected it to be something like that. That is what we've got. However, we've got a little bit more than that. So G Fuel and Capcom, who is the developer behind Resident Evil 3, they've come together to create not just a special edition flavor of the original G Fuel powder, but also a special edition flavor of the G Fuel energy drink. The flavor is the same for both, but obviously a different experience as we're talking about a carbonated, high-energy beverage and versus the gaming powder, which has a little less than half the caffeine. But the flavor is Nemesis tea, so it's another vague kind of flavor, very much like the spicy lemonade that G Fuel launched with Doom Eternal a couple weeks back. So it's by the sounds of things, it seems like some sort of iced tea kind of flavor or some sort of tea themed flavor with that little Nemesis angle attached on it, and obviously being that these products have been put together with Resident Evil 3, the labeling on them is not your usual G Fuel labeling. They've got awesome packaging based around the game, characters from the game, and you can check them out on the site. Just type in G Fuel in the search, it'll pop up, and we've got pictures of both the upcoming powder and energy drink, and both of those are actually launching this coming Friday, which is April 3rd. So yeah, it's a really awesome launch going down this Friday, and it'll be through G Fuel's website. And continuing in that beverage energy drink category, another story that popped up today, not from the past couple of weeks, but today, is some exciting news from the team at Bang. Now, Bang has almost always been, I guess, a leader or one of the best at teasing and hyping new releases. Now it's just started to do its next big release, and is actually going to be a first ever for the company. And I don't mean first ever in terms of the type of taste or what kind of taste we're in for. It is going to be a first ever purely because of, I guess, what's going into this or the angle they're taking. So to explain a little more, basically what Bang is doing is they have teamed up with what they describe as a group of individuals, or a special group of individuals, to create two flavors two versions or spin-offs of the Bang energy drink. Now, we don't know any more than that. That's all they've kind of said, is that they've partnered up for what is their first ever collaboration Bang. Now, we don't know anything outside of that. By the looks of things, it's going to be a special flavor. So it's going to have its own little unique flavor, very similar to what we're seeing with several collaborations over the years, dating all the way back to Man Sports and Furious Pete's Game Day. I believe it was Tropic Thunder, many years ago. One of the first collaborations we ever saw with an athlete or an ambassador and a product. But we don't know who Bang is teaming up with on this one, and we don't know the name of the flavor. We also don't know if Bang is talking about two separate groups of people, and they're each getting a flavor put together for them, or we're talking about one group who's getting two flavors put together. It's all very vague at this point, but basically Bang is getting its first ever collaboration flavors, and they're both, by the sounds of things, they're both due to reveal and release next month or within the next couple of weeks. So it's going to be pretty exciting. They haven't, like I said, they haven't really revealed a whole lot of anything. I'm intrigued to see how this turns out, as in the past Bang has always been pretty unique and creative with their launches, dating as far back as the very interesting and colourful Birthday Cake Bash, Rainbow Unicorn. They've always pushed the boundaries, I guess, in terms of unique taste and flavors. So I'm interested to see how they approach their first collaboration, and even more importantly, who they're collaborating with. But again, we'll have details on that when they surface. But for now, you can check out the site and you can get a preview of what Bang is showing. But again, all we know is that it's two beverages, two flavors, or two versions that are put together in collaboration with someone, with a group of people. And that's really all we know for now. But you can check it out with the cool preview that they have we've got up on our site. From beverage energy drinks, we move back into the sports nutrition world. And this is in relation to Black Market, the original underground supplement company, the makers of one of our first #1 rated pre-workouts with adrenaline. So if you're following the site over the past few weeks, you would have seen that Black Market announced it's coming out with a spin-off brand called Gorilla, which is kind of appropriate, as the Gorilla name and theme is something they've always had going on in Black Market's branding. And so they're coming out with a brand called Gorilla, or a spin-off brand, and it's going to focus more on recovery, while Black Market, as you will know, has always kind of kept its eyes and goals on pre-workout. So you've had bulk, cuts, fit, tone, several different pre-workouts. And so this new brand or new line is going to be focused on recovery, and there are going to be two supplements in the line. Now, at first, Gorilla didn't really reveal a whole lot about, Black Market didn't reveal a whole lot about the Gorilla brand products. All it said was that it's coming out with a brand called Gorilla that's more focused on recovery. This past few days, we've finally got a better idea, I guess, on what these supplements are about. Now, there will be two in total, or two that have been kind of touched on so far. There was Gorilla 9 and Gorilla Base. And from what we know, Gorilla 9 is going to be a more complex EAA supplement, as the name suggests, 9 with 9 essential amino acids. It's going to feature the Amino 9 blend of EAAs from Compound Solutions. And there was also going to be ashwagandha and aquamin minerals in there. So it's going to be more of a complex recovery amino, not just your typical aminos. It's got a little bit of it's got a whole bunch of extras in there, basically, to make it, I guess, a more advanced experience. As for Gorilla Base, as the name suggests, that one's going to be a little more basic. Now, all we know that's going to be in Gorilla Base is another blend of EAAs. However, it won't be the Amino 9 blend. It's going to be a different blend from a different company called Ultra Amino. But either way, both products are going to feature EAAs, basically, all 9 EAAs, a full spectrum. We don't know the dosages of either of them, but again, both will be featuring EAAs. Gorilla Base will just feature a different brand of blend, and then Gorilla 9, and Gorilla 9 is going to have those additional ingredients. For now, that's kind of all we have to go by. To the more interesting news, or I guess the even exciting news for fans of Black Market that have, I guess, always wanted something on the recovery side, is that both of those products are going to be launching in April. So my guess is that we're going to be seeing a lot more information, or at least getting a full reveal within the coming weeks, as they're both going to be launched within the coming weeks. I will be sure to share those details on the site when we have them. But if you head over there now, you can see a good breakdown of what we've been able to find out about the brand and the products that it plans on hitting the market with. Next up, we move to Rise, the lifestyle brand Rise, who has kind of been a bit here and there. We've seen a bit of them since the start of the year when they announced that they've got a new athlete in Jeremy Buendia. The brand then launched a straightforward carnitine supplement, its first liquid supplement. And then this past week, Rise announced that it's actually coming out with its first ever RTD. And by the looks of things, it is going to be an RTD version of their Blackout Series pre-workout, which is their more advanced pre-workout. We don't know what's going to be in this one. My guess is that it's not going to have the same formula as the original powder Blackout Series pre-workout. It'll probably have a slightly different, modified, I guess, but still similarly advanced and intense formula, purely because that's what you get with a lot of RTDs. Not all ingredients that are in powders can be used in beverages, and not as easy to flavor and whatnot. So it's a different mixture, but I suspect the formula will be slightly different, but with the same Blackout Series, intensity. And one thing that the brand has mentioned, and we didn't actually mention this in our post, so this is sort of a additional detail we have, is that the Rise Blackout RTD is going to have 14,000 milligrams or 14 grams of active ingredients, which is fairly decent for an RTD. Typically, like I said, there aren't many RTDs out there, but typically a lot of them are watered down or lighter versions of the originals, or they're just not really in great comparison to the powders on the market. Again, we don't know what's in the product, just that there's 14 grams of active ingredients, which is a lot of room to pack some solid dosages. And as I said, this is a Blackout Series RTD, so it's good to assume that they're going to Rise is going to take full advantage of that 14 grams of space. The next story we have to highlight comes from Bowmar Nutrition, who was one of our top 5 brands of 2019, and they have made no sign of slowing down or stopping or even taking their foot off the pedal for 2020. The company has just been pressured right from the start of the year with the flavors, variants, but now it's kind of introduced it has introduced its first entirely new supplement for 2020, and that is a product called Sharp Nootropic. It is indeed a nootropic-based supplement built for focus, concentration, clarity, brain function. It's a very comprehensive mental health focus product, and it did just launch last week. We got a preview of it a couple weeks back, which we shared, and then Bowmar revealed the formula, and the supplement itself is now available from their site. It's got a pretty robust, well-rounded formula. You get a lot of typical focus type ingredients, acetyl L-carnitine, alpha-GPC, tyrosine, and it is caffeinated as well. Typically, I'm always kind of a fan of the caffeine-free nootropics, as I kind of like to mix my caffeine, or sometimes I may not want caffeine, or I at least like to control that stimulant aspect of them. But for Bowmar's one, they actually dose the caffeine reasonably low at 75 milligrams, which gives you room, I guess. While it may not give you room to have a stimulant-free focus experience, it gives you room, I guess, to add a little more if you so wanted. mix it with an energy drink. It really leaves a lot up to you, but the brand has also thrown in a few ingredients you don't typically see in focus supplements, and that is KSM66 ashwagandha. It's not a huge dose, and the product we sorry, not like Black Market, we don't know the dose for, but it will have not a huge dose. It's going to have 150 milligrams per serve, so not the usual 300 or 600 as you might have seen, and similar to what we expect in black markets, amino, and there's also citrulline and betaine in that one. So it's really a very interesting nootropic from Bowmar, but not too surprising, as they have always put together some reasonably well-rounded formulas and some pretty comprehensive products. But you can check it out in more detail on the site, and again, it's now available through Bowmar's website. Now, the last part of this podcast episode we're going to do is actually going to be a pretty broad one, and this is all going to be roped around Easter. So over the past few weeks and even today, several European companies have announced and released and revealed Easter products. Now, in Europe, this is very common. I don't think I've seen it that much, if at all, in Australia or America or Asia. It's a very European thing to put together products specifically for Easter. And these companies, similar companies, do it for Christmas as well. And they take it, the whole way. You get, for Easter, you get chocolate eggs, you get chocolate mini eggs, gooey filled eggs, and that's exactly what we've got for 2020. Several big name companies have put together and launched special edition Easter products for the occasion, and we're going to go over the few that have launched now, and I suspect there'll be even more coming over the next few weeks, as Easter is just about 1.5 weeks away, so it's plenty of time for companies to sneak in and drop some Easter stuff. But the biggest one of the lot, actually we're going to start with the biggest one, we'll put them to the end. So a few of the smaller companies that have come out with Easter stuff, we're going to start with Body Lab over in Denmark. They have launched a protein-packed Easter egg. Now this is a high protein product with 40 grams of protein. However, it is also very high in, not very, but it's high in carbohydrates and fat, giving it a total of 826 calories. So this is far from your traditional protein bar, more along the lines of the protein popcorns we've seen, getting up near that 1,000 calorie mark. But it's better than your traditional Easter egg. At least you get all the extra protein. But Body Lab hasn't really stopped there. On top of the protein-packed Easter egg, they also launched a Easter-themed version of their marzipan protein bar, which features that traditional soft and smooth marzipan doughy center with a milk chocolate outer. As far as we know, there isn't actually any difference between the Easter marzipan and the brand's regular protein marzipan. It's just wrapped in a cool special edition Easter wrapper. Another company we've seen out of Europe is XXL Nutrition, who they have their own line of supplements, which is extremely large. They also launched a high protein chocolate egg, much like Body Lab did. It's actually very similar macros at 41 grams of protein per egg, but and 826 calories, so very similar macros, moderate protein, but weigh it out, you get a whole bunch of extra calories. But again, as I mentioned with the Body Lab one, it's a trade-off, I guess. If you're looking for a treat and you don't want a high sugar chocolate egg, you can get one that's moderately high and gives you a good dose of protein. And the next brand we're going to touch on in terms of Easter releases is Bulk Powders out of the UK. In fact, the last few brands we're going to talk about are all out of the UK. And Bulk Powders has put together a special limited edition flavor of its protein powder, its traditional pure whey protein powder with gooey chocolate egg. And it also put together a bag of mini high protein chocolate eggs. So it's a tiny little bag of individually wrapped high protein eggs, and kind of contrastingly compared to that is bigger protein eggs that I was talking about with Body Lab and XXL. These ones are actually a little leaner. So it's the Bulk Powders mini eggs. It's basically a bag of little chocolate eggs, and you get 15 grams of protein in the entire bag and 309 calories. So I mean, it's if you scaled that protein up, you'd probably get around the same amount of calories, but with the format of a small bag and the little individual eggs, it'd probably be a lot easier to tone yourself down rather than chomping away at a whole egg. The last two brands we have to talk about in regards to the whole Easter launch thing is Grenade and MyProtein. And I'm going to start with MyProtein because Grenade's one I think is one of the coolest Easter releases, and I guess one of the most highly anticipated ones I've seen. But MyProtein, being a brand that almost goes all out for all special occasions, Black Friday, Christmas, whatever, they've put together two flavors of their protein powder, Impact Whey, with I believe it is chocolate bunny and creamy chocolate. Formula's still the same macros, but these are two special edition chocolate flavors, and they've also put together but I don't really know if this is actually a product they've done before, or I hadn't seen it before. I thought it was really interesting. They've put together, the team at MyProtein, they've done a gooey filled egg. Now what this is a small solid chocolate egg, 10 grams of protein, 194 calories. So again, not the leanest snack on the market, and scaled up it probably gets you similar calories to those chocolate eggs from XXL and Body Lab. But what makes this one different is that it's a solid milk chocolate outer, then in the middle, as per the name, gooey filled egg, you get two types of high protein spread with white chocolate and a milk chocolate. So it's basically a very, very a traditional creamy filled chocolate egg, but with a sweet MyProtein, high protein spin on it, which I thought was really cool, because again, with a lot of these brands in Europe, you do get these odd little products like the high protein mini eggs and the high protein chocolate eggs, but a lot of them are the same. This one I thought was very cool because it's very, very different, and it looks like quite a treat. And the fact that they've put their own high protein spread in the center, I think, especially two flavors, I think makes it a very unique little treat. And better yet, it's only £1.99, which in the exchange rate is still relatively cheap. So it doesn't cost you that much at all to give it a try. But MyProtein's also put together what they've called the Easter Hamper Box, which comes with a whole bunch of treats, including the gooey filled egg and your choice of special edition Impact Whey protein powder, all for £19.99. So all of these items are limited edition. But before we close out the show, we're going to touch on Grenade's Easter egg, Easter edition item. And the reason I thought this was the coolest one of the lot was purely because, so if you've been a follower of Stacked for a while, you'll know that a couple of years ago, if not a few years ago, Grenade did an Easter themed April Fool's Day prank, and it put out that it was going to do a Carb Killer branded chocolate egg, and the catch was that it was like a Carb Killer, it was high protein chocolate egg, and at the time, protein infused chocolates and chocolate eggs weren't really all that common, but back then it was very exciting, and even I was just like, I knew it was a prank, but I was like, man, this could be very, very fucking cool. Fast forward to this year, that's exactly what Grenade's done. It has come out with a completely custom special edition box set. Inside you get this solid 150 gram egg that is just loaded with nutrition. I think you get 9 grams of protein. So this may be similar in size to the one from XXL and Body Lab, but the calorie ratio nutrition is much different. You get 9 grams of protein in this 150 gram egg, 75 grams of carbs, 9 grams of sugar, 54 grams of fat, and 750 calories. So lower calories than those Body Lab ones, but you do get there's much less protein. But the catch is in addition to the Easter egg, the box also comes with 2 of Grenade's recently released salted caramel protein bars. I actually don't think we mentioned this on the podcast before because they launched within the few weeks that we were missing in action. But they come with, so the whole box set's themed around this new flavor. And the chocolate egg itself is also salted caramel flavor, just like the new carb killer flavors which are included in the box. I don't actually think this product is available anymore. Again, it launched was like 2 weeks ago almost, but it was limited to the website, Grenade's UK website, European website. So it's not something you'll see, much like with a lot of European brands that do special edition stuff. It's not something that they made available or probably are going to make available in the US. But hopefully that episode was as comprehensive as I could make it. I tried to jam in as much as I could, as mentioned. I apologize for missing the past few weeks. We were caught up in a lot of stuff, but we are now in a much more stable situation, a much more grounded base, and we're going to be sharing our podcast hopefully much more frequently. But thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to having you back again next week.